Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Jenk Plays with me, Jenk Coffington, and today we're playing some more Transport Fever 2. Last episode, we set up our construction materials down here, being shipped into Little Rock, which is rapidly becoming one of our larger towns. I say that actually it looks like it's trending down. Let's not worry about that too much just yet. Let's see, Little Rock is now third. So earlier on it was further down here, now we've got up to third. They're getting their construction materials. There's quite a lot of a backlog on this line right now, but I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about that because it's saturated the line and we've got income coming in, and I think for today it's going to be more interesting to do something else. I was having a bit of a think about what we might want to do, and I've noticed that we've got these two towns here that both want food and also machines, but machines are later game than we are now, and I've spotted that we've got some farms up here and a food production plant here. So potentially we could ship the grain down, as opposed to using trucks or trains, ship the grain down to here and then have them deposit the food at a harbour here and have a distribution hub here that would then give food to McKinney and Oceanside. And by having that link there, potentially later on we could also use that for the distribution of machines, but that's thinking very far ahead. So for now, just thinking purely around food production. We've got two farms here as well, so once that levels up, we pull in that farm here, or we could pull in this farm here to make sure we're saturating the food production plant. So the farm, you see, produces 200, and the food processing plant takes 2 farm products to make 1 food. So at the moment it's a 1-to-1 relationship. So if we put some ships in, putting the grain down, we should just be able to saturate it with a rate of around 200. And what we'll do is we'll do the deposit on the other side. We can then think about how we want to split the demand. So we've got 30 going into Oceanside, and then 43 going into McKinney. So if we have an overall production of 100, that should saturate the line, and as McKinney and Oceanside grow as a result of us feeding them, their demand will increase, and that will also cause this to level up as well because we're using it, and then we can pull in more farms. So this would be a nice little food production area that we can then scale up later on as we need. So I think for now, let's just see what we need to do to make this work. So we pull in a cargo harbour. Okay, so it's a little bit far out. And that one is also a little bit far out. But what we could do is drop in a little connection here alongside that field. We don't want to delete the field. Just as a note, these fields aren't actually productive, they're not functional, but it costs money to remove them. It also ruins the aesthetic if you start taking big chunks out of it. So we'll leave that for now. Let's see, that should be, yeah, okay, so we can now see that will go in. I'm not going to put these in just yet because they'll cost money when we're using them. Well, it costs money having them whether we're using them or not. So then what we'll do is we'll put, we'll just do it directly on there because I don't want to, it'll look nicer like that than if I took it down and then put it in there. Yeah, okay, so you can see, so it's going to be about 500 for the 2 ports over here, and we're going to want to stick one in somewhere over here. So we're going to probably want to go around Oceanside as well, thinking about it. I don't want to be sending traffic through it because the pollution will impact their growth. So we might want to extend it out, if we're going to McKinney as well. If we extend out over here, we can then do a bypass. So we've got a road coming into Oceanside and then a separate road potentially coming down here past the steel and up to Oceanside, or we could just do a more direct road entirely. Depends on how much money we have and how much we want to spend on this. So for now, let's just check. That's that one. Okay. If we extend this town out a little bit more and turn into country roads, take me home. We'll bring this up to about there, and then we can put in a maintenance of vehicles. If we're not maintaining our vehicles, they create more pollution, which then impacts on growth, but we're not going to worry about that too much right now. That's something that we can deal with later on. There's a whole maintenance mechanic. Interesting turn of the phrase there, a maintenance mechanic, that we can spend money on, but right now with the money we've got, it's not worth the investment. Okay, so that will then get us into Oceanside, and then if we go back to curvy road, so this is straight road, curvy road, and then upgrade. So you can see that was what I was doing, I was just checking it with the same road type. Let me bring this one out. Don't know why you're curving like that. If we bring it further down, yeah, okay, yeah, happy to curve. Let's bring it in, actually, don't want to be, it's pretty flat. We did pick quite a flat map. I say quite a flat map. Generally quite flat, but with some areas of big outcrops. So that should make it more interesting later on when we start connecting the cities by train. I'd like to avoid using tunnels as much as possible. If we connect to there for now, if we can actually extend it out slightly. Maybe straight. Yeah, so if we want to connect everything by train, we're going to have to think about how we're going to get through these mesas, or whether we're going to go around them. Honestly, the height of them, it's very unrealistic for us to potentially run a train up it. I don't want to rely too much on tunnels, so it might just be that we go around, we have less direct routes, and that should be actually quite interesting visually, and also in the act of building them, but that's a while away now. We'll go back, connect this to here. We've got our junction. So the reason why I'm connecting up to here is because later on we might want to use this factory, although I am conscious that we've seen quite a few factories already drop off. So it might be by the time we actually get around to wanting to use it, it might not be there anymore, but we will deal with that when we come to that. It's actually quite an uneven bit of land, but it's not costing us too much to go across it. If we do it in small sections, we won't have to worry so much about the change. So if you see we're doing a small section there, slight slope, but if we extend that out, it really increases that gradient there. So if we do it in sections, it's going to be cheaper. Part of me also wants to come along and landscape the section, but we don't have the money to do it right now. I'm also not necessarily a landscapey kind of guy. For me, I just want it to look natural. I don't necessarily want it to look beautiful. Okay, so we've now got a more direct route into McKinney and a direct route into Oceanside. Oceanside is a band. Yeah, let's not get distracted talking about music. Okay, fine. So we now have our road links in. So we've got the port we want to put in there. The port we want to put in here. So that's not actually too long a journey. And then what they'll do is they'll loop around on the way back. So if we look at how much that's going to cost, it's going to cost 750 for 3 ports. So this is the loan menu. So when you start the game, you have 5 million, but you don't actually have 5 million. You've got 5 million in debt. So you have interest payments on that loan. So you have to be making more income than your interest payments as a minimum. When I first started playing this, I didn't really quite get this mechanic, and I overexpanded really quickly, and then found myself in a position where it was, while I was making money, I wasn't making enough money. So it's something to think about. You can see that the last few years we've been making quite a bit of money because we've been doing some construction. That's eaten into our total income for the year. So we seem to be averaging per annum about 100 grand. And we're actually operating at a loss this year. So what I might consider, so there's 2 options at the moment. One of which is to really bulk this out and increase the flow rate on here to get more income, which I think I might do because that's quite cost effective. And then I will also get a loan for us to be able to build this expansion, because I think we should be able to make quite a bit of money from this expansion. So what we'll do here, this will increase our income, and then we'll use a loan to do our next expansion. So let's see, at the moment the flow rate on here is 30, and we know that Little Rock wants over 100. So even doubling this is going to give us 60, and it's still not going to be enough, and that's going to actually cost about 400, so we can only do about 10 for now. But even then, adding this capacity will increase. Think about what happened last time. Last time they issued the new trucks from up here, so what I might just do is select this one down here and buy them here to make sure that they are coming from the closest site, and put them onto the distribution line. Should come out now. There you go. Somehow got 10 horse and carriages in there, all stacked inside each other. Must be bigger on the inside. Yeah, so that makes some money. I mean, as soon as I've done that, it's already started making more money. Let's whack on another. No, think about it again. I'm going to buy it from this one, don't I? Let's put another 10 on. Let's do 38. That's that. So this is what's happening here is my train that is running over it in the fuel section. Every time it arrives, we get a big chunk of money. So it's kind of like feast and famine. So we'll get lots of money occasionally, but it's not necessarily reliable in terms of like, oh, it's going to be a steady stream of income. Whereas with, say, trucks, which are more of a steady stream, it just ticks up over time. And I think, I might be wrong, but I think what happens is the trucks actually spread out. So for example, on passenger lines, they'll spread out, so you'll have they'll even out the rate. At this early stage where we've got them all stacking up, they're going to be very close together, but over time they'll spread out a little bit more and smooth that flow. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye out. So this line should now be 61. So that should start giving us quite a bit more money. You can see it's already very profitable. And also, as we increase that supply, the Little Rock will grow as well because we're supplying its needs. Yeah, so that was a bit of a distraction. Let's go back to what we're actually here to do, which is put in a food line. So we're going to probably need at least 1 million here. So we open our loan book, borrow 1 million, pause it while we're doing it, just so we don't get charged while we're making stuff. So we want a cargo harbor. We tested this before, so we can see. Wait, is that definitely the one I want? It's not, I'm being silly. This one up here is the one I want. Although interestingly, that does mean that I can also use that other one later on to feed in. So there we go, that one there. Down to here. Up a bit. So at the moment we're setting them as small. The only ships available to us at the moment are small, I think, but we might want to come back later on and reconfigure them to be large. So the larger ships are able to take on more. Oh, I've taken that too far in. Let's take that back a bit. It's just a placeholder anyway. So we put that, say, a little bit. Shift and M to rotate that there. I'll put that road back in. Connect. There we go. So that's now connected there. So what we're going to need to do is put in a distribution, road distribution thing here. So we're on a truck station. We'll make them long, because as we discussed in an earlier episode, if you have something like a train or a boat, they will dump things in bulk, which means that you need to have the capacity in your receiving station to be able to then distribute that, or to hold that while you wait for it to be distributed. And what I might do is put this in here and then connect it into the middle. There we go. It's not going to let me do that. We'll just rebuild this junction. There we go. So that should still, yes, that reaches it. You can see it's highlighted. Okay. So we might actually need to borrow more money. This is the bit where we find out that I've made a terrible mistake and we're not actually going to make enough money to let this run. Put in our... Let's see if it's easier on the other side. Yeah, it's cheaper on the other side. Yeah, is it? No, it's not. Maybe over here. Yeah, way cheaper over there. Okay. And then we also need a shipyard. So basically the same deal, but for boats. Okay. So because this is going to be a distribution hub, it makes sense for it to be there. Okay, so we've got the basics of our network here. Now we just need to put on our line. Okay, and now we're going to put in our line. So if we start the farm, then we go to the food production, and then we go to our distribution hub. And this is going to be called sea freight. Should it be sea freight? We've already got road and train. And then we have A freight, air freight, and I guess SF. So the reason why I'm getting a little bit uncertain about how to name this is I've been playing a lot of the island maps, and to me the islands are seas or oceans, so it makes sense to be called the sea freight line or the sea passenger line, but here we're on a river, but we're already using R for road, so SF I'll continue using just to be consistent and as a marker to make it different from, say, road or rail. There's loads of different naming conventions within Transport Fever 2, and I think you just need to pick what works for you, and this generally seems to work for me. this is going to be Stockton Farm to Oceanside Food and Hub. Because it's quite a complex line, I'm going to call that OS Hub. And let's abbreviate Stockton as well, because that's quite a long name. It's going to be ST. At some point I'll probably have to come back and rename all these lines, but for now this will do. So now I've got a line in. We should also probably put in our road distribution lines as well. Let's see if we've got enough money. We might need to borrow before we can even do this. No, we should have enough. There we go. So we'll put one there. And then we'll put one in McKinney as well. Probably there. And we have our two lines. So we go from here to Oceanside. And that's going to be road freight, RF, OS hub to OS. And we should also call that Oceanside road transfer. That's going to be Oceanside river transfer, or be harbour. Let's do harbour just so it's easier. Harbour. Okay. Fine. And then we'll add another line up to McKinney. Click it. There we go. And that is going to be RF OS hub to McKinney. Okay, so we're going to need to take another loan. Let's see how expensive these boats are. So we've already got a large boat, but it's only for fuel and related industry. Look at cargo. So we've got two small boats. So we're going to need to take out probably another $1 million loan. And I say probably if we get two of the Wilhelms and see how that goes, that probably isn't going to be enough, but it will be a start. So if we borrow another $1 million, buy two of the Wilhelms, stick them on the sea freight. There we go. And then we'll also buy some cargo to 127. So if we do for now one on each, just so it senses the demand and actually gets them going. If we set these lines, we're going to manage line, we'll make them wait definitely, just so they're there. Did I already do that one? I did. It's the purple one I want. Manage line. Any, wait definitely. So they'll always be there when the ship, well they should at this point in time always be there when the ship arrives with supplies. Otherwise they'll just keep looping and they might not be there, and then we'll overload our food distribution hub here, and then we'll start losing product. So there we go. That was a very expensive spend just then to get this set up, but hopefully now that it's in place, if we unpause it, we should start getting some money in from it. And what I might do while we're waiting for that to go is just go around and rename things. Oceanside Farm Port, if they're being same port, we'll change that to port as well, actually. Port transfer, put a space in it. Okay, and then also up here, this is going to be Stockton Farm Port. As you can see, it's already generating food, farm product. The ship's on the way up to get it. Let's see what that line rate is, 91. Actually, yeah, okay, so we need to get maybe another 2 ships on this line to actually saturate it, but to be fair, 91 for now will get us 50 food, and that will get this going. Okay, it comes in. Get the line going, and then we can start making some money. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the date, I'm going to leave this running for a bit, and we'll come back in once this line's actually properly going. So I'll see you in a minute. And we're back. It's only been a couple of minutes. I did a bit of stuff off screen while I was waiting for this to tick over. I've run through all the cities and given them all a 2 or 3 letter shortcode to make it easier when we've got complex lines. And I've also gone through and checked all of the lines to make sure they make they're mapped to a shortcode where they have multiple spots on them. Where there's only the one, for example, if you've got a loop within the city, it makes sense to just leave it as it is, because that all fits on a line. Whereas if we had, say, well, this one down here, we can see it was over the line. SD Farm, OS Food, OS Hub. Makes it easier. If that was then Stockton Farm, Oceanside Food, Oceanside Hub, we would have no idea because it would stop. We'd only stop off at Stockton. So it makes it easier to read and figure out what's going on. So I was doing that in the background while I was waiting for this to tick over. We can now see that we've got a lot of food coming in here and also a lot of money. So these ships are very profitable. So there's probably 2 things that I want to do before we finish, which is double the number of ships here and then just consider the rate of demand on these 2 to make sure that they match. We can probably afford that now. If we do the rates on this first, because that's going to be cheaper than the ships. I can see this ticking up. We probably won't have a problem buying 2 ships in the moment. But if we deal with the rate here and then think about adding more ships to it. So we go to here, we can see that our current rate is 2, and McKinney wants 45. So really there's a near infinite number of, I say near infinite, we need 22 additional vehicles on here. That's nowhere near infinite. If we just double it, so that's 2, then that's 4, then that's 8, 16, gets us to 29, and then we just select a few more, do 4, so 29, 36, 43. So that should be enough, and that's now going to saturate that line in terms of the food going out. I'm also actually thinking about this, going to turn off the weight infinite on it. So we manage line, turn that down to quite low. I think 3 is the default, let's just check. Oh wait, let me check on that one. Yeah, 3 is the default. You've got the other side, drop that to 3. And then do the same. As you can see, they're now all queuing. This was probably a mistake, but there should be more food coming in shortly. Yeah, that guy's going to bring in some more food, and then we'll do the same looking at the other line. So we've got Oceanside, that's currently doing 7, and Oceanside wants 33. So if we do manage vehicles, so 7 is going to be 14, 28, and then another. There we go, and that should then give them everything they need. It's going to be a problem for a bit. Let's not look too close to there. Let's carry on what we're doing over here. Okay, and then we've got the ships. So the ships are saturated in terms of the food coming out, but we need to increase the amount of farm stuff coming down. What I might do, I know I said that you shouldn't overexpand, but we should just be able to double ships on here, which gets to 248, which then should saturate this line for food, because I think it's more important to get the food flowing, then the money will get flowing, and we all know that we want some big numbers. So let me just drop out for another minute and let this settle, and then we'll come back in once this has actually got going, and we'll start talking about potentially about what we'll do next. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so it's been running for a little bit, and it looks like it's stabilized. There's a bit of an issue here in terms of these guys blocking the hubs. What I might do is extend this out just so it moves them down a bit. You should move. There you go, should move down a bit, and then that will make it easier for the other guys to flow through as well. So you can see that because it takes a bit of time for the food to come in for this left terminal, they're sitting there for a bit. Let me just check that, and the left terminal is the one that's actually going that way. So what we might want to do is flip the 2 terminals, put that to 2. Why is that not flipping? Let's try that again. There we go. Terminal 1. There we go. So now the... Let's configure that again, they're not the same length. Yeah, not the same length, just for my... it made me uncomfortable if they were not the same length. Also builds a bit of a buffer in as well if the flow isn't quite quick enough. But it seems that this side's being prioritized over this side, so it makes sense for that to be bigger as well. So this gives them more space to queue, this one gives them more space as a buffer. Not sure why it's prioritizing Oceanside over McKinney, but it's fine. We'll be producing enough food to saturate the entire thing. We can see we're making money. So off screen while this has been running, I've just been paying down the loan little by little. And you can see that we've gone from 8.5 million down to 7 million, and in a couple of episodes that'll probably get down to 0, but for now, because we're still in growth mode, I'm not too worried about having that loan because it makes it easier for us to grow and build stuff, but there is a cost associated with that, so we just need to make sure we're more profitable. So you can now see that we've got food being produced. We've actually been able to level up our food processing plant as well, so potentially next episode we could bring in another farm, maybe use this one to ship more stuff to here, or we could use the other one down here that we found that was also able to access the river as well. So I think that's enough for today. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.